Good evening, everyone. I hope you've had your tea. And now I would like to welcome you to the last batch of sessions for the day for OG Yatra 2020, our online webinar series. I hope you've been enjoying yourself so far. OG Yatra is one of the largest user groups webinar series covering 14 days, 125 plus hours, 100 plus sessions, 100 plus speakers. We have had the privilege of having 60 plus Oracle ACE and Java champions from all over the world. OG Yatra runs from the 1st to the 16th of July, excuse me, where we have 8 sessions daily starting at 10 a.m., which go right up to 10 p.m. IST. Each day is a separate track that contain different sessions, so please refer our website for the detailed agenda and accurate timings. What you see now is the list of incredible speakers we've had today. I'm sorry if I'm being a bit repetitive, but if there's someone new, I would like to take a couple of minutes of your time and introduce you to AIOUG. We are one of the largest Oracle users group, and Sangam is a yearly annual conference. And the Groundbreakers Tour or OG Yatra is a tour that we undertake where we tour, or as I've said before, where we visit multiple cities, bringing all the speakers to you. If you want us to be in your city next year, hopefully, it would be great. We would love your assistance. If you could share the details of this event with your colleagues and or talk to them about the upcoming sessions, route them to our portal, help us spread the word. That would be a great help. Again, please feel free to visit our website and you'll find all the information there. Now, over here in AIOUG, we have a tradition of selfies. Unfortunately, we can't have them in a webinar in an online mode this year. So instead, for now, I would request you to kindly take a snippet of this or a snapshot, a screenshot, a snap, whatever you're comfortable with, and use this to tag Bashir and thank him for his time. As you're probably aware, today we are really lucky to have a speaker as amazing as Bashir Khan with us. He has been an incredible cheerleader for our community and a massive support for our team. Bashir is an industry-leading expert in Oracle Cloud applications and technology, and an ACE director with over 34 years of experience in IT and enterprise architecture. He has been associated with various user groups, being a member of Oracle Applications User Group since 1996. He has also founded and currently chairs its Fusion Middleware Special Interest Group. Oracle Magazine has also honored him as the Oracle Integration Architect of the Year. With that, I would like to again thank Bashir for being here, and I would like to hand this over to him. And as I'll just stop my screen share and hand it over to Bashir. Bashir, all yours.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone in India. I hope you're all doing well and keeping safe. I also want to say good morning and good afternoon for attendees from the rest of the world. It's indeed a pleasure to be part of the Yatra again. I was in India in person the last 2 years. In fact, this year we're planning to be in 20 different cities, but it was not meant to be. As you heard, we're looking forward to doing it next year. So thank you for attending this session. In this session, I'm going to cover the technical aspects of Oracle Cloud applications. In terms of the agenda, we're going to, for those of you who may not be familiar with the applications, I have a few slides explaining what these applications are. And then we will look at the technical aspects of the application, what happens under the covers, how they're built from a technology perspective. Next, we're going to look at its data model. How are these applications powered? How is the information stored? After that, we will talk about how data is brought into the applications. The moment you first start implementing them, they're empty, so you need to bring your own data in. So we'll cover data conversion. Next, we will talk about how data is extracted from the application. How do you generate reports? We also will be touching on aspects of the user interface, the screens and pages that you can potentially alter and customize or tailor to your specific needs. A few other topics I'm going to touch on are workflows. How do you approve things in applications? How do you notify people to do things? Those are workflows. And lastly, we'll end with how do you connect these applications to other applications? So that's integration. With that, I'm hoping to have about approximately 10 to 15 minutes for questions. And
Sorry,
then
sorry
this,
to interrupt you, Bashir. Are
oh,
you
go ahead.
sharing the screen?
I am.
No,
Are
we
you
can't
not
see.
able to see? Let me try again. Oh, I see that the share stopped. Thank you for pointing it out. All right, now do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All righty. Sorry about that. In a technical training, we had a little technical difficulty, but welcome again. Let me share the agenda one more time so you're able to see it. I was talking about this agenda. We'll cover applications, the technical overview, the data model, conversion, reporting, user interface, workflows, and integration, leaving some time for Q&A at the end. So in terms of cloud applications, Oracle's flagship product was the Oracle E-Business Suite. And then through an acquisition, they not only got PeopleSoft applications, which are predominantly for HR, but they also, because PeopleSoft had already acquired JD Edwards, they got those applications suites as well. JD Edwards was more geared towards manufacturing, vertical manufacturing. There's very interesting combination of technologies and functionality that was acquired. And then, as you all may be aware, Oracle also acquired Siebel, which played in the CRM space. So this gave Oracle a very unique opportunity, and I'm talking approximately 10 years ago, 9 to 10 years ago, where they had access to applications built over several years that brought several business best practices to the table, that brought different technologies to the table, but indeed there were 4 different applications. So what Oracle did was embark upon a huge project to build what was then called Fusion, that was leveraging the best of these applications and technologies and creating one powerful, built for the cloud application suite that was built from the ground up. I'm very fortunate to have been part of what Oracle called the Fusion Inner Circle, where they invited over 100 companies across the globe to participate in requirements validations, provide feedback to Oracle, to test these applications, to become early adopters, and see how these applications can be improved. And since that time till today, and that at that time we're talking about probably 2 releases prior to the general release, so I'd call it version -2, to the current release of 20B, I've been very familiar, intricately familiar with these applications, and it's been really a pleasure to help other clients start using these applications. So what are these applications? They're a modern suite of applications that can pretty much automate any aspect of your business, be it your back office accounting, be it your front-end sales and marketing and service operations, your planning and budgeting, your human resources, your supply chain, your manufacturing, your purchasing. There's a module for every aspect of your business potentially. So it's a complete suite. It's built from the ground up, a brand new code set and a brand new set of applications that are uniquely geared to work in the cloud. So that's what the Oracle Cloud applications are. And delving a little deeper within the pillars that I showed you on the prior slide, I'm just going to drill down into a few of them. What's called ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, includes functionality to manage and plan your budgets, to manage your financials, to consolidate your financials if you're having entities, multiple entities, to automate your purchasing. So including your projects. So construction companies, for example, do large projects, so those could be automated and so on. Here you see some of the modules included in this suite called enterprise resource planning, or ERP in short. Next, HCM, human capital management. This allows organizations to to track all their team members across the globe, all their employees, all their contingent workers, maintain data about them, manage their payroll, make sure that their training is on track, make sure that you're setting goals and measuring them against the goals and so forth. So every aspect of HR, benefits, payroll are covered with this suite of applications, HCM, human capital management. Next, used to be called CRM, customer relationship management, but more recently it's called CX, customer experience. This manages all aspects of your sales. So handling campaigns, marketing, service, interacting with your customers, keeping track of your leads, your prospects, providing them quotes, and so forth. So this is customer experience suite of products. Next, supply chain, which is for distribution and manufacturing companies, buying goods from your suppliers, manufacturing goods, shipping them, planning for the manufacturing, managing orders, distributing the goods, tracking all the items that you sell or purchase. That is supply chain management, or SCM in short. So as you can see, these applications cover all aspects of a business, and they're able to automate all of them. The best part about this is, even though there's so many different modules, so many different suites of applications, they all work off of a single data store. So all your information is kept in a single location, tightly integrated and easily accessible, and able to interact with every suite, every module that's out there. So with that understanding of what these applications are, now let's look at how they were built and how they're represented from a technical perspective. So these applications were built using Fusion middleware. Of course, the underlying database is Oracle's flagship product from the time the company started, the very powerful Oracle database. Please do attend sessions about the Oracle Autonomous Database, which are part of the Yatra. So you get to know the amazing capabilities of this database. And that's where all the information gets stored. But everything you see and you access is done through a suite of technical products called Fusion middleware. And I'm sure some of you are familiar with this, but these products cover all aspects of technology needed to make the applications work. So they are rendering the pages or making these pages available to you. They are allowing you to write reports. They're allowing you to interact with these applications, to connect them. The technology enables information to flow within the modules back and forth. The technology allows Oracle to monitor and manage the applications, allows you to authenticate your users, make sure no one has incorrect access to the application, and so forth. So it's a whole suite of technical products that Oracle owns and has built over time, called Fusion middleware, that's used to build these applications and maintain them. We'll be talking more about these components in the subsequent slides. First, let's talk about the identity manager that's powering what's called identity domains. So when you access your application, when you purchase your application, what Oracle would do is assign a very unique identifier to you, your organization. And everything, the access to the applications is centered around this particular component called the identity domain. We'll talk a bit more about the identity domain on the subsequent slide, but essentially, this is the way Oracle controls who gets access to what, or rather, how they keep the applications different. So if a company purchased applications, they're able to access them. It ensures that no other company gets the data from no other companies commingle with these applications. So what's unique about the way Oracle is providing these applications is that each company has their own hardware, their own set of servers. They're not commingled, unlike some of the other cloud providers who keep everything together in one place. And potentially there's a possibility of commingling of data Your applications have their own servers. They're completely isolated from others. And this identity domain is unique to you. And each customer has a unique, one or more unique identity domains. You'll understand this a bit more on the next slide. So remember, I told you every customer is assigned an identity domain. For the applications, they are identified by an acronym called Point of Delivery, POD. So the URLs that you access, what you type as an address to access the applications will have a unique 4-character number. In this slide, I represented that as ABCD, but it could be any combination of these 4 characters, all lowercase, and you will have different suffixes to this. So if you just see the 4 characters in the URL, and this is important for you as you're starting to use or support clients who have these applications or starting to do some technical work in the applications, the 4 characters, if they're by themselves, that is a production instance. And then if the 4 characters have a suffix, such as this, it could be test or it could say dev1, those are non-production instances. Something to note is that for the planning and budgeting suite of applications, that formation of URL is slightly different. You'll always see the word planning dash 4 characters. Also note, in some cases, instead of 4, you may see 6 characters with an A and 5 numbers after that. That also represents a planning and budgeting instance. We'll talk about the rest of the URL on subsequent slides. So sufficient to remember that POD or pod, as it's known as is represents point of delivery. And it's important also when you contact Oracle support, you will have to tell them which pod you're talking about. So it's identifying which environment of the cloud applications that you're working with. So that is pod. Now, Oracle has several data centers. In fact, this is a bit outdated. There are many more data centers that Oracle has opened since the start of Oracle Cloud Applications. The data centers are represented by a 2-character code and a number at the end. When we first started, it was US2, but then nowadays you're seeing US6 and US8 come about. And that's the same with other countries. So as you can see in different regions, there are different characters used to represent the data centers. So this is the, actually, you know what, I'm missing a slide. Let me try and locate that slide. Oh yeah, it's coming up. So the 2 characters represent the data center, and based on the 2 characters in the URL, you will be able to identify which data center you're accessing the applications from. And if you go back to the previous slide, you'll see that they are over here. These are the 2 characters. And this FA stands for Fusion Applications. So it's always the pod FA, and then the data center, and then always oraclecloud.com. That makes the entire URL in terms of how you need to access the application. Now let's look at the data model. This is how the information is stored within cloud applications, what's happening within the database. So the data model was predominantly extracted from eBusiness Suite and Siebel. Remember, I told you about the 4 different suites of applications that Oracle inherited, their own eBusiness Suite. Then we have PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, and Siebel. So again, it's leveraging the best of the rest. So majority of the tables, the underlying data model was inherited from eBusiness Suite and Siebel. And then there's some unique aspects about PeopleSoft, very powerful ones that were also overlaid on top of that data model. There are trees that allow for hierarchical storage of information. That is a very unique concept of PeopleSoft. That was embedded from PeopleSoft. Date effectivity, how you end date certain records and then start a new set of records. That date effectivity, especially in HR, is very, very important. So that was also from PeopleSoft. Concepts like set IDs or business units were introduced from PeopleSoft as well. And then given that PeopleSoft was has a very strong HCM or HR functionality. The person model, the employee model, was inherited from PeopleSoft as well. Now, if you want to look for documentation about the model, you can Google Oracle Enterprise Repository. I also have a URL in this application. We'll talk about that. Or you can look at Oracle's Help Center, which is embedded within the application, or you can go to the My Oracle support site to get additional details about the data model. So I mentioned the Oracle Enterprise Repository. This is the URL. It'll redirect you. This is how it first started. The page has moved, but it's still a valid page. So go to Fusion Apps representing applications. OER stands for Oracle Enterprise Repository.oracle.com. So Fusion Apps OER.oracle.com. So if you're a technical person, this will become your favorite link. So if you go here, you'll see that there's links to not just Fusion applications, but also the older suite of products from Oracle. Click on the Cloud Applications link, and then you'll be able to browse through products, browse through technical information about the products by release, and you're able to see all the tables, the views, and for each table of view, you'll not only get a description of what that table of view does, you'll get the details, you'll get the columns, the primary keys, the foreign keys, the indexes, and so forth. So there's a lot of good information. Now, one tip for you, if you don't want to go that route and you already know the name of the table, if you just Google the table, it'll take you to that particular page that contains all this information. So either you go through top down from this page, or you can directly Google and find information about a particular table. So that's a data model. Now, this was a slide I was looking for earlier. So how do you get to the data model? One of the things you'll hear is, oh, with the cloud applications, Oracle does not allow you to connect to the database. Yes, that's true. You cannot directly connect as you would with an on-premise system where you had access to data, you had access to the ports were open for you to go and connect. As you can imagine, the cloud applications are accessible anywhere in the world. So security is a very important consideration, which is the reason why Oracle does not let you directly connect to the database, the underlying database. So if you had a shortcut and you're going straight to the database, either by design or inadvertently, you may cause damage to the database, and the integrity of the database could be compromised. So, which is the reason why you cannot directly connect to the database, but this is a workaround. If you look at the steps here, you will see that you are able to go in and look at any table and query that table. When I do the Yatra in person, I typically stop at this point and actually show you a demo, given time considerations, and I do want to set aside time for Q&A at the end. I'm going to skip the demos in this particular presentation, but hopefully next year we can have a demo in person in India. So we talked about POD, the point of delivery, the 4-character code that sits here. Then we talked about FA, which is always, you need to put FA there. It's a reserved word. And then this is the data center, DC. And that's the 2-character country code and the number. So for example, it could be abcd.fa.us6.oraclecloud.com. See, it's the same URL. But to get to the data, you need to connect to one of the tools called Oracle BI Publisher. And this is what represents that component of cloud applications. So regardless of your URL, be it a production URL or a test URL or a dev1 or dev2, you put in a /XML server. So it's XML Publisher server. BI Publisher was formerly known as XML server, Publisher. So XML server is a reserved word you'd add at the end that'll take you to a page that allows you to access the information in the Oracle database. Now, to query any of the underlying data, you need to know the table name. And on the previous slide, I told you how you can look for and find the corresponding tables. So spend some time, start to understand the tables. For those of you who come from e-business suite background, I'd say it's far easier because the majority of the tables are from e-business suite, similar names, so you can look for them. But regardless, you have a tool to go and look at the repository and find the underlying table. Once you have the table, you are able to go to the data model section and create a new SQL query. SQL, as you know, is a structured query language used from the underlying Oracle database that's used to query the database. So you can create a SQL query. You will have to give it a name. So you give it any name that you wish. You pick the data source as application DB FSCM. That's to access any financials or SCM tables. If you're accessing HCM tables, then it's applications DB underscore HCM and so forth. You'll be provided a choice. You'll see there are 3 options to access 3 different parts of the underlying Fusion applications. So this is at the header level. And then there's a box where you can type in a query. In this example, I'm trying to access the payables aging periods table. So standard queries, select star from, and then click OK. It'll immediately list all the columns that are available. And then when you go to the data tab, you can select and view records. Now, in this particular user interface, you can only view up to 200 records. But then you can take that query you just built and create a report that can list many more than 200 records. So this is a starting point. It's also very, very helpful and useful for you to get to understand all the different components of an Oracle, of the Oracle Applications Database. So it's a very useful tool. I've used it quite a bit. Our team uses it often, and you'll be able to view all your data either in a tree view or a table view. If you had master detail, if you want to see the master detail connections, you can create 2 queries, link them together, and query the data as well. So please try this out if you want to understand Oracle Cloud Applications underlying database. I see that there are some questions coming up. If you bear with me, let me complete the slides here. That way we don't miss out on anything. And indeed, I will go and review all the questions you posted. And thank you. Please continue posting the questions. Hopefully, we have enough time at the end so I can respond to them. If not, I'll work through AI OUG and get back to you. Next, as I said, we'll talk about conversion. We looked at how information is stored, how you can see what the tables are, where the information is kept in cloud applications. And as I said, other than the seeded data that Oracle provides when the cloud application instance is first created, it's predominantly empty. So there are no customers, there are no items, there are no suppliers. And you obviously are keeping this either in your previous applications or maybe on Excel. So this section of the presentation talks about how you can convert or bring information from other systems, other locations into the Oracle Applications database. So data conversion, predominantly to do this, you have an approach that's file-based because usually you're talking about volumes of data, this large amount of information about your customers, suppliers, items that you want to convert. There are also other methods if the data is not that much. Obviously, if it's just a few records, you can type it in, but there are also web services available, RESTful or SOAP-based, that you can leverage to upload the information. Also note that FBDI, file-based data integration, is predominantly for the financials and supply chain suite. There are other loaders, FBL, for example, for the HCM, and also a different approach for the CRM or CX suite as well. So please Google and learn about that. I'm specifically talking in this section about the financial and supply chain based conversion. So what Oracle has provided is a set of macro-based Excel templates. These you can download. And the first tab always describes how to use that template. So invariably, the steps are you will populate that file, click a button, it'll generate CSV files that are usually zipped together into a package. The zipped file needs to be uploaded to Oracle Cloud. That's step 1. Then it gets extracted and loaded into staging tables, step 2. And then finally, it gets imported from the staging tables into the production tables. That's step 3. This used to be the way it was done in the earlier releases. But starting with release 12, steps 1 and 2 got combined, which made it very convenient. So 1 and 2 get combined. As soon as you upload the zip file, they show up. The data shows up in staging tables, and then you can import from staging tables. Also, in majority of the modules, you have an ability to correct anything that went wrong in the staging tables. You have a separate set of Excel files that you can download, fix any issues with the data mapping, upload them, and correct them. So this is the method that's used for data conversion. So on this slide, I'm showing you how you can get to those spreadsheets. So again, go to Oracle Enterprise Repository and look for the product, and then look for a file-based data import link that'll allow you to download the template. The templates end with an extension .xlsm, which, as you know from Microsoft Excel, and the M represents a macro-based spreadsheet, and that's a sheet you'll use. Always read through in detail the instructions on the first page. Some of these spreadsheets are single tab, others are multi-tab, so you have to carefully read and make sure you're populating all the data in the correct manner before you start the conversion. So this is how the spreadsheets typically look. And in this case, as you can see, this is a customer import sheet. And if you look to the bottom, there's so many different tabs. So each one represents different aspects of the customer. And these are the instructions that you need to read. Remember, I told you there's a button. This is how the button would look. When you click that, it'll create the CSV or comma separated value files that gets it together and become available for you to upload to the cloud and convert the data in the cloud. So this is how data conversion is done in Oracle Cloud applications. Reporting is very dear to me because what I've seen is that many implementation partners don't focus as much on reporting. But to me, when an organization acquires these applications, yes, there's an important part of entering all the information, entering the transactions to make sure all the data gets into applications. But what really helps the users, what really helps the management and the executives is extracting information, extracting metrics and details that help their business. So reporting is very, very critical. In fact, if you are starting out to be a technical consultant or a technical developer with applications, I'd say focus on reporting, because not only is it very important to companies, there's always a demand for people who are report developers, but also it's very easy to learn. Of all the things you do with these applications from a technical perspective, reporting is the easiest, easier than conversion, than integration, than customizing the pages, and so forth. So I'd say if you're looking for a career in as a technical consultant or a developer for cloud applications, this is a place to start. With that, there are different tools that you can learn, and maybe some of you already are familiar with this. For example, BI Publisher is already used in eBusiness Suite. OTBI as well. These are inherited from Essbase, which was under acquisition Hyperion. So these are inherited from Hyperion's Essbase Cube. We'll talk about each one. So BI Publisher, it's a tool used to build reports that don't look like Excel sheets. So again, BI Publisher is different from OTBI, which is Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence, in that this allows you to build reports where information can be placed based on how you want to control it. It also allows you to embed graphics. For example, this is a tool you'd use for check printing, creating check formats, for invoices, for purchase orders. So anywhere you want to adjust the format and data, make it to customize the look and feel of your report, this is the tool to use. And the best part about BI Publisher is that the output could be in any format. So you can generate a PDF output or HTML or a Word doc or Excel. So you can have different formats of the output. OTBI, I mentioned this, Oracle Transactional Business Intelligence, is a quick way to extract information. It's an end user tool. So as much as BI Publisher needs someone technical to create the report and publish it so people can run it. OTBI is something that business users, end users can actually use. It's very simple. You pick what is called a subject area, which is grouping of information. So you have a subject area for payables invoices. You have an area for suppliers and so on. So once you select the subject area, various columns are available that you can simply drag and drop, or you click here and push it to the right, so they're selected, and you can pick and choose the columns step by step. There's a wizard-based approach to building the report. As you can see, the train stops at the top. You will select the columns and you go through these steps where you're able to edit and move the columns around. You can create a graph. You can sort them, you can filter them, you can highlight them, and finally you save the report. So it's a very simple tool where end users without any technical training can quickly create a report, extract the information, view the information, and go back and change it. So it's a self-service reporting tool, and that's available in the applications. And then again, you as a technical developer, it's important for you to learn this, because as much as the users can do this, they may not necessarily know which subject area to use for what. How can we use more than one subject area? How do you link them together and so forth? So you can gain a lot of expertise in this space and also help your end users build reports using this tool. Next, this by far is the most complicated tool, and it's also a bit archaic, or it's from the older generation of tooling, where this is an important tool though. It's very, very critical when you want to build reports for financials, final statements like income statement or balance sheet or trial balance. This is a tool to use. So Financial Reporting Studio, it's a rare skill. Not many folks know about this. So it's a good skill to pick up, especially to work with the CFO or the controller in the company to provide them financial reporting. A great tool to use, to learn and use Financial Reporting Studio. And lastly, SmartView is Excel connected to the cloud application, so you can query real-time and extract information from the cloud. Again, it's specifically for financial reporting, and it allows you to pivot the data and query real-time information pertaining to your accounts and compare it from previous periods. It's also used with the planning and budgeting module. Now, I shared with you 4 different tools, and you may be a bit confused. Why do we need 4 tools? What do we use when? So for that, I have this slide. So which is the right tool to use? As you know, these applications have different suites. You have planning and budgeting, you have the general ledger where all the transactions from an accounting standpoint end up eventually. And then you have all the sub-ledgers or all the other modules that feed into the general ledger. So as you can see up here, transaction, business intelligence, OTBI, and BI Publisher can be used within the sub-ledgers and general ledger. But when it comes to the Financial Reporting Studio and SmartView, those only work with the general ledger or the planning budgeting aspects. So that's how the 4 tools fit in. With that, let's switch to the user interface. I have not gone to a more deeper aspect of how you customize the user interface. I'm keeping it at a higher level, but indeed, you can customize them using application development framework of Java. So all the pages are built using Java, using this framework. The entire UI is built that way. More recently, Oracle has started to use the JET framework, JavaScript Extension Toolkit. That's what JET stands for. So you'll see this is, again, a very good skill to learn. So these 2, ADF and JET, are needed if you want to customize or extend your applications. And that's actually 2 different papers or presentations in themselves. But I wanted you to be aware that there is tooling available to change or alter your pages. Please note that some of the yesteryear tools, the older tools like Oracle Forms for eBusiness Suite, JDE tools, People tools, and SQL tools are no longer used in Fusion applications. The dashboard is based on Web Center technology, and the Oracle portal or PeopleSoft Enterprise portal are no longer part of the cloud applications. So at a high level, and this is something some of the savvy business users can do it themselves, you have the ability, as in the Web Center portal, to go in and alter any page. So the menu on the right here, where I'm clicking, right near where your initials would show up as you log in, one of the options there is to customize the pages. When you get into that mode, there's also a little bit of prep work you need to do. There's a concept of sandbox, meaning you don't want any changes you make to immediately impact all the users. So Oracle allows you to create your own space called a sandbox, where you can go make these changes and make sure they look good before you publish it for the rest of the users. So please Google Oracle Fusion Sandbox. You'll get more details about how that works. But suffice to say that once you get into the sandbox and you customize the page, it allows you to not only change the layout of the page to different formats, but also allows you to add different content on the page and adjust the content on different pages. So you have the ability, again, you must have heard that Oracle Cloud applications are very rigid. You cannot customize them. There are ways and means in which you can alter the look and feel, as well as extend the applications to add new pages. It is indeed customizable. Of course, there are constraints, but to a large extent, we have been able to support our customers with customizations and extensions of the cloud applications. And that's possible because Oracle maintains each customer's applications in their own pod. That's how any changes you make here does not impact the other customers. And that's how you're able to customize the pages. So just to give you a step-by-step, again, this PowerPoint would be uploaded to the AIOEG site after this. So please visit. And that way, I wanted to leave you with the step-by-step instructions as to how you can do some of the things I'm talking about. So once you have access to applications, you create the sandbox, as I mentioned, and then customize the pages, and then start making changes to the pages. Next, we'll talk about workflows. Different products in the past use different approaches to how you enable workflows, but from a Fusion application standpoint, Oracle has embedded Oracle BPM, Business Process Management Suite, to enable any changes or enable any workflows in the application. Changing those workflows or rules. Typically, the rules are, if someone submitted an expense report, it has to go to the manager to approve. If someone requested a purchase of something, it needs to go to the manager, and then it needs to go to the buyer in the organization to approve that. Or it could be there's an invoice that's waiting to be paid. You want the person who ordered those goods to first approve, and maybe it was an IT purchase, you had to send it to the IT manager to verify that everything was received by the IT department, and then it goes to the CFO to approve so it can be paid to the vendor and so forth. So these are workflows where you route information from one user to the other, to the managers, to supervisors, get everyone's approval, and process the transaction. The reason I call this out is that only the purchasing module has a better user interface to modify the rules. So you use what's called the functional setup manager within Oracle applications to modify the purchasing rules. But all of the modules, you use the BPM worklist, so Business Process Management Worklist. That's where all the rules are modified. So there's two different approaches to doing it. Here's a screenshot of how you do it for purchasing. As you can see, there are several rules, different stages of approval, and then the green checkbox indicates which rules are enabled. Again, this is a great skill to have. If you pick up and understand how to establish rules in the purchasing module, more importantly in the BPM worklist, which is more technical, it's in high demand because there's not many folks who know how to enable approval rules or how to troubleshoot approvals. Many organizations have complex needs in terms of how the approvals need to be routed. So this is a great skill set to acquire if you're looking for a technical career in Fusion applications. So here's the BPM worklist. See the contrast. So that one was more user-friendly, and this one is where we need experts like you who learn the technology and are able to help the business. It's highly unlikely that a business user would go and change the rules using this. Also, more recently, Oracle has provided a set of Excel-based templates where you can download the rules, make the changes, and upload them. So make sure you learn all aspects of how rules need to be modified. With that, I'm at the last section of this presentation, integration. As you know, I always make this, I always ask the question or make a statement when I'm on the Yatra tours in different cities. Show me a company that can do all their work with one single application. Impossible to find globally, because maybe they're fine with Oracle applications from a finance automation standpoint, but they'll have an application to handle the email, something from Microsoft, and so on, right? So every company needs at least a few applications to go about their day-to-day business. The moment you talk about more than one application, there's a need to connect them. And that's what integration is. So there's several aspects to integration. This pre-built integration that comes with the Oracle application. So Oracle has already invested the time and effort to create integration. So for example, there's pre-built integration where you can connect to the bank and send them information to process payments. You can connect to the bank and extract bank statements so you can reconcile them. So these are all pre-built integration that are already available in the application. Similarly, they have done HCM integration where employees have selected benefits for themselves, their family, and that information about which healthcare they've selected will go to the benefit providers and so forth. So there are different pre-built integration, different modules. And then for the outbound integration, meaning when you want to send information out, there are some web services that are published, but for most part, we use BI Publisher. Remember the reports we talked about a few slides ago? Those reports are able to extract the information and you can send it out to other systems. So it becomes a file-based approach where you can send the file across to the other system and it'll be able to read the file and import it. For inbound, either you cannot directly connect to the database underlying tables and feed the information. So you're either using APIs in the form of SOAP or RESTful services, or you're using the file-based data integration that I talked about earlier as part of the conversion. So those are methods to do outbound and inbound integration. So some of the integration tools, SOA Cloud Service, which is flagship. SOA stands for Service-Oriented Architecture. So there's a SOA Suite product of Oracle. It uses an internal language called BEPO, Business Process Execution Language. So this is useful when you have transactions that are long running. When we say long running, it could be several days before it's over. So if you have something that could take several days before the target system acknowledges, then you use SOA. Or if you have a system that constantly keeps going down and you want to remember everything that needs to be sent across, use SOA-based integration. Also, SOA was required for B2B or business-to-business integration, especially if you're doing EDI transactions with your partners, you need SOA. More recently, there's a B2B adapter available with the Next Suite, which is the Integration Cloud Service. Now it's called Oracle Integration Cloud, OIC. So this is the older version, this is the new version, and this also has a B2B adapter. So this one does not necessarily remember what is called the statefulness of the integration, meaning it would not remember. It will quickly send the information across, but if you had long-running transactions, you're better off using SOA. And then lastly, you have self-service integration. I'll explain that in the next slide or so. Hold on for that one. So this is a screenshot of Oracle Integration Cloud. Oracle's strategic direction is to invest in this product. So if you want to make a career helping people interface their applications, this is the product to learn. There are lots of amazing tutorials and videos available on YouTube, tutorials on the Oracle site, cloud.oracle.com. Learn this product because it's very powerful. It allows you to build different kinds of interfaces. You see over here the process builder and the integration that you can build. Also, it comes with what's called a visual builder. So this allows you to send information to another application where there's need for human intervention. So it's not just an application talking to another. It sends information, then a page is intercepting that information, sending a person notifications with a link. They click on the link, they come in, look at the information, click a button, and then information goes across. One use case could be you're trying to create an address, but you found that the address already exists, slightly different, but it's there. So then you can have a page where that information sent, hey, there are two duplicate addresses, which one should I store? You see, there are different use cases like that where human interventions needed, that's Visual Builder. So check out this tool, amazing product. And this is, in fact, the best practice. If you're trying to build interfaces, start here, unless there's a need where SOA Suite is needed. I told you I'll talk about self-service integration. This is an amazing productivity tool, which allows you to connect with different productivity applications that are not necessarily enterprise applications. You're not making a financial system talk to the banking system, but this is more like, I received an email and it has an attachment. I'd love for that attachment to be saved to my Google Drive. That's what this does. So you're able to take different applications and the connectors available. So if you got an email, for example, you see here, when the new email comes in, you can store it in Dropbox and so forth. So check this out. Again, there are videos available. After you have implemented your whole ERP, there may be other applications that are out there. This allows you to further improve the productivity of the team that's using the application. So for example, a vendor could have sent an invoice or some document, and you can now take the document, store it somewhere, and so forth. So there are different use cases where we've found this to be quite useful. So I just want to acknowledge that all these graphs and images that you saw were from Oracle. I did not generate those images. And then just wanted to leave you with a couple of URLs. Cloud.oracle.com, SaaS for your applications info, and PaaS, Platform as a Service, for technical info. This is my contact address. If you want to reach out to me, use this email, and you can find me on Twitter @bkhan. With that, let me go and look at some of the questions you folks may have. I believe we have approximately 10 minutes or so. Let's see. Are cloud applications implemented for public sector? Absolutely. In the beginning, they were not there, but cloud applications became available as soon as the encumbrance accounting capability was introduced. So grants, encumbrance accounting, all the aspects that you may be familiar with especially eBusiness Suite, all that is available, and they are available for the public sector, for sure. And then the next question is, we have read-only access to backend tables via BI Publisher. Why it's not exposed using a user-friendly tool? And I mentioned this before. So you cannot connect using Toad or SQL Developer directly because of security and the integrity of the database. Imagine if we allowed you to connect through SQL Developer, you could accidentally delete a table, and then the whole applications are corrupted, or you may insert a record without knowing the impact of that insertion. That's why it's a very controlled environment, and you're only allowed to read from the DB. But you have APIs, so you can insert information after it's correctly validated and the integrity is ensured. So that's why Oracle does not allow you to connect directly. If the pod is 4 characters, does it mean that it uses IPv4 or 6 characters means IPv6? No, IPv4 and IPv6 are TCP/IP standard. So when you have an IP address, IPv4 has the 3 numbers, dot 3 numbers, dot 3 numbers. IPv6 has bigger numbers, and so on. That's a TCP/IP concept. Pods are simply Oracle's way of identifying uniquely the combination uniquely identifies which customer uses which applications. I'm sure as Oracle's install base grows, once those permutation and combinations are exceeded, I'm sure that may become a 5-character pod as well. Is cloud application available as PaaS? Well, PaaS, Platform as a Service, is actually the technology product. So in the past, you installed databases on-premise, you installed other tooling like BI Publisher on-premise and so on. So Oracle always had applications, which is eBusiness Suite or PeopleSoft or JD Edwards, and then they have all these technology and tools which are now being called platforms. Basically, PaaS, Platform as a Service. In fact, I have a presentation for that. Maybe next year I'll come in person and share that with you guys. It's taking all these tech products, especially the DB, and moving to the cloud and making it available as a subscribed service. That's PaaS. So SaaS applications have used PaaS components to be built and delivered to the customer. And then we can use PaaS to extend the application. So you want to add another page, a whole module, you can build it using PaaS and connect it to the SaaS. So that's the difference between SaaS and PaaS. And next question is, what's the difference? Sorry, the next question is, what is different if we go to BI via Appending Analytics versus XMLP? So great question. So you remember on the URL I showed that you need to add XMLP server at the end that takes you to the BI server page. If you just say /analytics, it takes you to the analytics page where you can build OTBI reports. So that's the difference. If you want to look at OTBI and build ad hoc reports, you put /analytics. If you want to build reports such as the ones I talked about, invoices and purchase orders, you use BI Publisher. Is there any certification track for BI Publisher? I'm not 100% sure, but check for OBIEE, Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition. If you search for that in Oracle University, I'm pretty sure there's a track for certification in BI Publisher. If you have no experience in Oracle SaaS products, how do I make a start in this path? Unfortunately, that's been a big challenge for most of us. The cloud applications, there's no way you can access them. So unfortunately, the only way at this point now is either you're watching the videos, but if you need hands-on, you need to either intern with the company, and maybe that's something you can do where if there's an organization that's willing to let you access the applications. Today, as it stands, only partners get access to what's called Oracle's demo environment. That is to help the sales team sell after showing the demo. We do not know of any instance where you have ability to access these applications. So unfortunately, that's definitely a challenge. I'd say start with the videos, and we will need to figure out somehow. There's some ideas that I have, and watch out for that. We're probably going to announce it next year, where you don't know anything about the applications, but to give you a real life feel, we're planning something that will help you get that edge and become quite familiar with it, and then go in and start using the application actually. So there's something I've been planning. I'll potentially make the announcement next year. Next, documentation to configure adapters. Necessary certificates, where to find all this documentation, right? So if you go to cloud.oracle.com and click on PaaS, actually when you click on PaaS, the Oracle website has changed. Everything PaaS is now under Oracle Gen 2 Cloud. So look under there, search for integration products, and within that you'll see Oracle integration. When you click there, you have complete documentation on Oracle Integration Cloud. Also, you could go to docs.oracle.com, the documentation library, and you'll find information there. Next, Oracle Cloud is in best in market to meet global competitors. How is it the best in market? Okay, one of the things you'll always hear is that Oracle lost the cloud game, and AWS is way ahead, and Microsoft Azure is ahead, and Google Cloud is ahead. When you hear statements like this, people are talking about infrastructure as a service, where people are buying compute services and so on. Yes, those companies had a head start, but there's not really that much competition when it comes to true cloud-based applications. So Oracle is a market leader when it comes to SaaS, and you will see that. The other companies simply took their products, put it in the cloud on compute instances, and said, this is a cloud product. No company really invested and built an entire suite like Oracle did from the ground up. Two companies is an exception. Salesforce indeed built from the ground up, but that only takes care of your sales automation. Workday, for example, built it for HCM. So there's companies that have built subsets of this from the ground up, true cloud applications, but there's not an enterprise suite that is built from the ground up that takes care of all these modules. No other company has that today. Next, does it make sense to give read-only access so life is a little bit better to tech guys? Yeah, so that's Oracle's way of giving read-only access. Unfortunately, the tooling, if you connect with SQL Developer or Toad, you aren't able to get, or rather, if you allow them to connect, you need to open up a port, and that opens it up for any malicious content coming into the database. That's the reason why it's blocked, even though you can create a read-only schema. BI Publisher today is the only option that we have. I think there's two other questions. Does it make sense to give read-only access? That's the one I just answered. Will integration allow to plug in the existing interface logic to Oracle Cloud? If you have already built it using some other technology, you will have to rebuild it, unfortunately, for Integration Cloud. There's no tool that will take from the older set of technology to interface to the new, unfortunately, not yet. So that was the last question. I think we just made it on time. With that, let's see if there are no other questions. I'll hand it back to the moderators of this. It was great to speak today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Bashir. I'm sure if, if the participants have further questions, we will take them on our portal and we can continue the discussion there. I'll share my screen.
Sure, thanks.
Okay, I hope my screen is visible. So again, thank you, Bashir. I'm sure we're all taking something new with us today. And for our participants, I'm sure you enjoyed yourselves as well. And I know you would like to thank Bashir. So just head over to Twitter. It would take a minute of your time and thank using his Twitter handle that you can see on the screen. You can use the hashtags OGYatra as well as AIOUG and thank him for this wonderful session. Before we close, we do have a few announcements. The first thing is the Learn and Win series that we have come up with this time. It's a chance for you to win the AIOUG membership. The more sessions you attend, the more points you earn and higher the chance you have to take the prize. The way it is built is that every minute that you attend is equivalent to 1 point. For now, you've attended this session, you've earned 60 points and so on. We'll keep on adding these points. This will be maintained. This will be shortly displayed on our website, the leaderboards. I'm aware there are queries coming on. There are queries about this, so we will have this out shortly. About the membership, these tiers are equivalent to our membership tiers, and that again you can visit our portal and you can see what are the privileges of each tier. Along with the membership, you also get badges, OGYatra badge, that you can display on your social media as well as certificates. So moving forward, we do want to announce a special event for tomorrow. It is our keynote. So we have keynote from Jennifer. We've got a couple of great hands-on lab sessions on Python development with the ATP and containerized development and deployment with Docker coming up tomorrow, along with sessions from Oracle University, as well as Jim talking about how to build communities. And we've got a really fun session coming up with Oracle Aces, meet and greet the Oracle Aces and Java Champions of India, where we are trying to get all our Oracle Aces from India, and they will talk about their journey of becoming an Oracle Ace and share their experience with you. So I hope to see you all tomorrow in these sessions as well. Again, a small announcement for people who were inquiring about registering for the kids track. This is something that we've been doing in person over the past year, and it's extremely popular. But of course, this time we can't do it in person. So we have this robotics thing that I have. Yeah, let me use this. Okay, I really can't move my. Okay, here I am. So you can use a scan QR code and scan the QR code, and you will be able to register for the session. So this is about the kids track, and I hope you've got the registration links. And just an announcement that this is filling up fast. So if we do have enough registrations, we might open up a second slot as well. So do register soon. And lastly, We've already talked about continuing the conversations and networking on Twitter. And about the presentation material, it will be available on OGYatra portal, on the AIOUG portal, once the OGYatra completes. And the last thing we would request would be a speaker feedback. It helps us a lot, helps the speaker. And if you could scan again, you would be redirected to a link where you could submit your feedback. So with that, thank you, Bashir. Thank you for your time. We do have
Thank
the
you,
last.
guys. Talk to you again.
Thank you, Bashir. And we do have the last session for the day coming up. That's Here Comes a Digital Assistant to Rescue Us in a Corporate World. So I hope to see you soon in a few minutes, half an hour. So thank you. I'm ending the session now.